your color. That's so cool, slate. Better be too quick for me. That's so flamboyant. But a little too typical, won't ya? Say the same, don't ya? I'm one of a kind, don't get me wrong. Show your own color. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I just take all the spotlight. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Making mama feel so right. No need to look high and low, baby. Maybe it's a little too obvious. It is my solution. Let's hear you say. Color, leave a mark, show yourself. Hold your chin up, get ready. Got no time to lose because I'm here to show you fluorescent paint, paint. I just stand up, what can I say? Fluorescent paint, paint. Just go parade. My one and only color. Da-da-da, he show you, come on. Da-da-da, he show you, come on.
Hello everyone and welcome to the RTA Season 22 Legend Tournament. My name is Evan.
And I'm Stoic, here with Evan.
Hey, what's up, Stoic? Hey, nice to see you again, man. I think this is a few Legend Tournaments in a row now that we've been together. It's a pleasure to be back here for number 22.
No, we've got a handful of them now, and we got a big one today. Man, I've been looking at these ranked players here, and I can't tell you who's up there right now, but I mean, it's been going up and down, and it's been an absolute fight right now.
Yeah, I know, and I was prior to the stream, we were watching some people potentially change spots all the way down to the wire. So even now, we don't fully know who our top four are, guys. The way the Legend Tournament works is that we go all the way to midnight, and that's when we choose the top four players who are going to be fighting for your viewing pleasure to see who walks away with the Legend title and gets their name marked in the Hall of Fame yet again.
That's right. I mean, we've seen the likes of many people making their way up there. I even saw Diligent trying to make his way to the top. I know Seychelles been trying to fight for that spot as well, but I don't know if they made it. I mean, I wasn't paying attention about like 10 to 15 minutes ago, and things could really happen at a moment like that, whether those top four were dropping or we've got some newcomers coming up from below them.
That's right. Yeah, a lot can happen in the last, like, even just 48 hours of RTA. And now, in the last, like, half hour, we've seen people fall out of rank number 5. We've seen people fight for that slot just outside the reach of the Legend Tournament. But folks, if this is your first time watching, I want to welcome you to the 22nd season of RTA's conclusion. This is the Legend Tournament. As you can see on the graphic, this is how folks got here today. And now, as far as the tournament's going to go, it is going to be fought using the SWC mode, otherwise known as the Face Your Fears mode. We're going to have pre-bans enabled, but you cannot consistently pre-ban the same monster in between rounds. By this point, if you've been watching SWC, you know how that works. Semifinals best of 3, finals best of 5. And here's what folks stand to win today. Beyond just having their name marked in the Hall of Fame, they also get the Archmage Oracle skin, which is so sick, right, Stoic?
It really is. I mean, this is one that I wish I got my hands on to, but not this season. We'll have to see down the road, see what I can pick up, but I'm gonna miss out on this one for sure.
Oh, I know, dude. And it's that is one of the most beautiful skins that I've seen for Guardian so far. And I think it's one of the most meaningful. Obviously, the Oracles have been like a staple of RTA since its inception. This season, though, unfortunately, not one of them has made it into what we would call probably the most crucial monsters of the meta so far. You broke it down for me earlier today. Do you want to tell folks probably your most impactful from the meta this season?
I mean, this is just one of those seasons where, well, not one of those seasons. I feel like a little bit of last season was kind of like this as well. We just have a very wide variety of units that we can take into RTA right now. And it is a great time to be playing RTA just because of that. Because even though it is very, very important to have the specific units, if you don't have them, there's still just so many units to still choose from, which is really great. That's what makes for such a great season. But those like big 3 units we could talk about, and that's the Miles, Oliver, Masha, like those solid 3 units covering those 3 elements, such a necessity to have. It really is.
Yeah, and I love the inclusion of Miles in that. After his performance in SWC, I feel like he's gotten even more popular. The dude has always been fantastic. All right, folks, here we go. So now we're going to be looking at the players that are going to be fighting today in the Legend Tournament. We have 4 of them. The first is FH, Stoic, who we've seen before. FH, I believe, was at the China qualifier.
Yep, FH here. I mean, hey, this dude's fighting for some Oracle skins because he's got them all right here. He's got his most picked monsters. He's got the Gianna and the CR. It's funny enough that we're seeing the CR right now because CR's kind of fallen off, but that's probably playing into a little bit of his playstyle right here. We may be seeing like a Shizuka coming out of FH. The Volantis is just such a powerful unit, and it's so interesting to see Lulu being brought to the table because like Lulu's not something that we get to see a lot of, but it is still a very consistent unit.
That's right, and here we go on to season rank number 2, L&D Monster. We can see the most picked monsters there. We got Gianna. We got Light Monkey King, still always one of the best CC units available. Again, we see the Ciara, Okeanos, and Chungpung. And the most banned is kind of a grab bag of some of the ones that were just listed above, but notably Tianlang and Hagang are in there as well.
It's definitely interesting to see the CR in this kind of position. Sometimes I look at this and think, like, do they possibly not have the Oliver? That's why they're locking in that 24 speed lead. But because of probably the Gianna, they want to bring those additional bombs to the table.
Yeah, that's a good point, too. It's great synergy if you're already bringing the Gianna, if you have access to it. And Frank at number 3 in the season with Okeanos, Morgani, Chungpung, and Wunsa. This is actually looking closer to, like, maybe RTA season even 18-19, if I'm not mistaken, thereabouts. Like, this is kind of a blast from the past.
Yeah, that Ganioki definitely makes you feel like you're coming from the past here, like a 2018-2019 style draft here. Now, not that they're bad units, it's definitely very, very... a lot of control we're expecting from Frank.
And Tars wrapping up the slot 4 from the RTA season. Tars has had quite the showing here before at the Legend Tournament, so I'm sure he's going to bring some excitement to the table today.
Yep, that's right. And I believe it was Tars that had won Worlds. No, I'm sorry, Worlds. the China qualifier as well. So Tars, yeah. I mean, he's definitely someone to be looking for right here. This might be one of the more powerful players in today's bracket.
Yeah, you're right, Stoic. And wow, this bracket is actually going to be pretty fire here because FH made a huge statement at the China qualifier, and then Tars took it home. And then we got L&D Monster versus Frank. As you can see, we got rank 1 versus rank 4, then 2 versus 3. So it's kind of like a rank sandwich. I don't know why I said that. It's not at all like a rank sandwich. It's more like just a bracket where we match number 1 versus number 4 and 2 versus 3. Either way, we got a great show ahead of us now. I'm actually really looking forward to this first match because, like I said, I love the way FH played at the China qualifier.
Yep, I think these are two really good players here, FH and Tars here. I feel like I got to give a little bit of favor to Tars, you know, seeing how he performed so well inside that China qualifier. I do really like the Tian Lang. I think the Tian Lang is going to be something we're definitely going to be seeing tonight in this very first match.
Oh yeah, big time. Tian Lang is like one of the counters to all things attack bar gain. I was going to mention Oliver, but like anything, he's so flexible, and it's kind of rare that his detriment, if you're bringing attack bar, can actually like give you more downside than it deprives the enemy of attack bar. You know what I'm saying? Like it's normally a good thing. It's normally better for you than it is for the enemy. So I'm excited. An L&D monster in the next one with Frank. That'll be fascinating. I don't know if I can remember seeing Frank at one of these before, Stoic.
I can't remember seeing Frank in one of the legendary tournaments, but I could definitely tell you he's been in those China qualifiers in the past as well, though. So Frank has experience when it comes to these tournament style plays. So definitely expecting Frank to perform well here. I mean, he's made his way to legendary tournament, so he's looking to lock in his position here. So why not? I think Frank's got a great shot, and who knows how well he'll do up against the LD Monster. I know LD Monster definitely a little bit more experience when it comes to these legendary tournaments.
And sometimes that's what it comes down to, is experience at the tournament floor. Like, how well can you play with like the whole world watching you? That's really what it comes down to. Can you keep your cool playing against these players? Granted, when you get to this high in the ladder, these folks have been playing against each other so often the whole time. They probably have already done all their homework. We're more than likely going to see some pretty quick pre-bans, I imagine. I actually, in those most picked and most banned, Stoic, I didn't see a whole lot of the monsters that we referenced before. I didn't see Oliver. I didn't see Miles. I didn't see anything. Was there any monster that you were expecting to see that was maybe notably missing from those?
I mean, I can't remember if we did see the Oliver in there, but I feel like Oliver's something that is going to get banned out. It's either going to get banned out or first picked. It's something that they're not going to want either one of the opponents to be taking here. But I want to say it's going to be a little similar to what we were seeing inside the China qualifier as well. We saw a lot of Masha first pick, Oliver first pick, but Masha and Oliver pre-bans, obviously LD pre-bans coming into the picture for depending on opponent, of course. But yeah, definitely surprised not to see that Oliver in most banned.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And also, Shizuka was notably absent as well, who's very much still around. So we're going to have to see how their tournament style changes from their ladder style. This is definitely the time for people to bring their pocket picks in. If they have any secrets left whatsoever, they're going to be bringing them out right here, right now. So this is the time. This is where you either get the Hall of Fame or you get nothing, except for an Oracle skin and some nice stuff. But guys, in chat, it's looking like the first game is ready. We are going to be heading in right now to FH versus Tars. Get ready because we're going to the pre-ban phase.
Alrighty, here we go, guys. We have our first match today. We've got Tars and SH in today's legendary tournament. Let's kick things off here with a pre-ban.
Yeah, here we go. Let's see what they got. Let's see who they're wanting to pre-ban. Curious to see what they end up locking down here. First round, baby.
Definitely could be some interesting things here. I'm expecting to see some LD pre-bans or even just see the Oliver, potentially Masha getting pre-banned out here. Definitely expecting these two to take their time, though, for sure. Ooh!
Gurkha and Veronica are pre-banned out. Interesting. Those are very targeted pre-bans. That's not something that you just happen to throw out hoping that maybe they might have it and you deny it. They clearly know each other's boxes by this point. First pick Dominic gets slammed down right now.
Correct. That's exactly what it is. It's two players that know each other very, very well, and they knew what was going to come to the table here. So there's the Dominic first pick, and then there's the Masha. We were actually expecting to see that Masha popping out here. Still, I was about to say I kind of feel like that Oliver might be popping out, but no, he goes with the Shizuka, and Shizuka is one of the units that we weren't seeing a lot in that most picked, most banned spots when we look at the players before, but Shizuka's coming out right now into a Narsha and a Woos. I do like this coming from Taz.
Yeah, the Narsha here is actually a really cool pick. I love seeing that flexibility that she provides between the strip option, the consistent def break, and the speed scaling damage with, of course, speed that increases. One of my favorite damage dealers that we so rarely get to see, so it'll be kind of a treat if she ends up getting through Tarz's defenses here and we get to see her in game.
If there's the Juno, now I'm not that big of a fan right now. I think there could have been a little bit better strip options when it comes to this this Wusa here, but it looks like he's going to go with a Juno Nana, signaling one of his big ways to get orbs right now is going to be that Masha. We'll see what Tars is going to be doing here to stop that Nana from getting orbs.
FH is actually threatening a lot of damage here, Stoic. I'm actually a little bit worried for Tars in a sense, because I think FH stands to just burst through a lot of damage with either the Narsha or the Dominic. Doesn't really matter which one gets banned, and take out that Soul Stone immediately from Nana.
No, I'm sorry. FH is on the left side here. My bad. Let's see what Tars is going to be wrapping up his draft here. And he has to bring some form of damage. And, I mean, he's going to be bringing the Leo to the table. That's not a lot of damage. The only defense break... Well, I mean, he's got more defense breakers in the form of that Nana and the Masha. And then Shizuka can obviously bring more defense breaks to the table here. But it looks like Leo's going to get the boot. Leo gets banned out. Gianna is going to get the banned out as well.
Really good last pick there from Tars, actually. That was a forced ban, right? It makes it so that you at least get the 4 that you really want to get through. Here we go, guys. We're going into round 1. Legend Tournament Season 22. Tars versus FH. Tars at the top, FH on the bottom here. Narsha gets turn 1.
Yeah, this Narsha is something that I was definitely afraid of if I was going to be that Juno. That defense break came out, and immediately that's one of the orbs going to be down here. I knew that Juno was going to get focused out, though.
That's what I'm talking about. We talked about this right before we went into the game. FH is just threatening too much damage. It doesn't matter if you can bring one back. You got one and then another. So I think FH has already got this on lock, dude.
This is 100% going to be one of those matches where it is down pat, and it happened very, very quickly here. That was almost a dismount on top of the Masha, but Masha just doesn't have enough in the tank here. There's no more sustained on the side of Tars here to keep up that Masha. Once the Masha is going to get dismounted, Tars is going to be in a lot of trouble.
Oh, yeah, big time. Here comes the Juno again. She can actually get a pretty nice strip, but unfortunately, I think it might be too little too late here, because he can get the defense break, the kill. He doesn't even go for the dismount, Stoic. He just confirms.
He did not need the dismount there. Nash is able to pump up so much damage, capitalizing on those defense breaks as well. It's so crazy to see that. I mean, there were some additional turns in here, but it really didn't matter with the kind of damage that FH was putting out here.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, there's the procs that occurred were not necessarily the things that won the game. We had the Narsha into the Dom from the very beginning. That's all that it took. There we go. And it's Shizuka versus the world. And that's actually, like, pretty good. She can get some debuffs out, but capitalizing on them, well, that's kind of a tall order.
Isn't that the craziest thing about Shizuka there? Like, Shizuka's the only unit left here, but we have to sit here and say, it's not over yet, because Shizuka is able to do some crazy, nutty things here. Doesn't it get the branding effect on to really capitalize on some big damage, though? No two-turn sleeve is going to be popping out. Shizuka really needs to start valencing to get a ball rolling here, but there's a lot to worry about when you're staring at a Dominic, and that is going to be an FH.
Looking down the barrel of a loaded Dominic, there's a lot better places I'd rather be than in that situation there. We saw that coming from a mile away, Stoic. That was just a tough situation. I think that there were a lot of things that you need to consider when looking at what happened with Tars's draft, but could you put your finger on anything that maybe might have been the thing that made it all fall apart for him?
So I want to say towards the second round when he was selecting the Juno, he was bringing it in and out, and I was not a fan of the Juno there because I feel like the Juno wasn't enough to really get the ball rolling here. We had already seen the Nana on the field, and I feel like if you're drafting the Nana, you need to secure that ticket saying, hey, I'm getting these orbs back now. I know he wanted to bring a strip to counter the Wusa, but maybe not Juno. I don't think Juno was going to be the unit to provide the utility his team needed. Maybe even like Praha could have been a little bit better, but I know he was afraid of drafting too many water units, and I could definitely understand why he wouldn't take a Praha in that situation.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was a little bit too passive when he settled on the Juno. There was not enough damage and not enough dealing with the Narsha. That's I think really what it was. The Juno's too open. You land the defense break and you still have a moment to capitalize on it before she cleanses it and takes a turn. So here we go, guys. We're going into round 2 right now. So Tars can still make something happen, but he's got to get a point on the board right now because, again, the semifinals are best of 3. So we're at game point already for FH. And you can tell that Narsha made an impression.
Yeah, 100%. Expected to see double bans like that. Those are 2 powerful units. So with both of those banned, I don't think... I mean, we could still see a Nana getting drafted by either one of these players here, but we shouldn't be looking at a very important lock that Nana down as soon as possible. Probably going to be that Shizuka Dominic split again. Oh,
Yeah, and you could do something similar. Oh, here comes the Veronica. I almost forgot that we had more content in the back end from FH. And even though the Narsha's banned, they could get a similar result by doing a Dominic and a Miles. There's so many different ways to get that additional damage in. But it looks like maybe they're going a Mora route instead, locking down a speed lead to not fall too far behind.
yeah, I do see that he's drafting more here. I feel like Moore might not be the speed lead that he wants to lock in. Moore is definitely not a horrible decision here, but I feel like this Oliver should be a little scary, and he shouldn't be putting so much faith in all these water units. But we're going to see a lot of water units here. Maybe Oliver might be getting the ban now, because that's why he locked in all those water units. I do like to see that Dominic and that Gurkha. That's so much threat coming at Taz.
And the Tessa, he's thinking about it. I like the Miles for sure. We talked about the Miles a second ago. The Miles is a great replacement for the Narsha. They got pre-banned, locks in the Tessarion. I've been loving Tessa recently. Unfortunately, I think it might not see the light of day unless Veronica gets banned.
Yeah,
Okay,
Tessa's
here we
going to
go.
be something that gotta go for sure. If you let that Tessa through, the Gurkha wouldn't be able to do possible Gurkha things here, but a speed lead for FH, and we've got, I believe, an HP lead for Tars, guys. We've got round 2. Let's see what happens here.
Let's go. Veronica taking turn 1. You love to see that third skill go off Stoic. Stripping and resetting everyone for 2 turns. A big proc from Miles.
Look at the damage coming out of that Miles. A little bit of attack bar pushback with that more happening there.
Wow, look at that. And this is what we say when we talk about, like, just bring a Shizuka. You can pick her so early in a draft. There don't need to be buffs when you draft her. If she just gives your team 2 turns of immunity and a little shield, like, that's great.
Here comes that second skill. Looks like he's going to put Gurkha in his focus right now instead of trying to finish up that Dominic. It looked like the Dominic could have been a very easy kill, but maybe trusting the Veronica to finish everybody off here was probably the right decision.
Yeah, I was kind of curious about what he was doing there too, Stoic, until I saw that skill 2 go off and then all the dots coming. Although I still think that's... Oh, it is exact. It's like exactly 10%, like dominoes they get knocked down.
Yep, that really was a perfect decision there. Whoa, FH with a very commanding second match there.
And that's what we're talking about. When we were saying that we were stoked to see FH's first round there against Tar, we were saying it for a good reason. FH made a super solid impression on us at the China qualifier, and I'm glad that they brought that same energy back here to the Legend Tournament. That was a pretty big statement piece, huh, Stoic?
Yeah, it really was, man. Veronica. What an impressive unit there. Kicking it off with the strip resets, which is already just such an incredible kit to have. And then that beautiful second skill, able to apply all those dots there. That was a lot of damage coming from that unit as well. Beautiful animations, might I add. But the Veronica was definitely a showcase unit, explaining why it was pre-banned in that first match.
I love seeing that unit work. It's not very often that we actually get to see one get into a game, but when we do, it's absolutely devastating. What a way to start off a game, just putting everybody back by 2 turns. It does pretty much what you want to do with Chung Peng on his second and third skill, just on the same skill together. It's insane what you can do with that.
Yep, pumps out so much damage. Well done for FH. That was a very, very well played out match for him. That was quite impressive.
Yes. Guys, we still have the latter half of the bracket coming right back here. Just hang with us. We're coming to a quick break.
Show your color. That's so cool, slick. Better be too quick for me. That's so flamboyant. But a little too typical, won't ya? Say the same, don't ya? I'm one of a kind, don't get me wrong. Show your own color. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I just take all the spotlight. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Making mama feel so right. No need to look high and low, baby. Maybe it's a little too obvious. It is my solution. Let's hear you say. Color, leave a mark, show yourself. Hold your chin up, get ready. Got no time to lose because I'm here to show you fluorescent paint, paint. I just stand up, what can I say? Fluorescent paint, paint. Just go parade. My one and only color. Da-da-da-da, he show you, come on. Da-da-da-da, he show you, come on.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the RTA Season 22 Legend Tournament. I'm still Evan and I'm still with Stoic. What's going on, man?
Yep, doing good, still awake, and we're pushing through still.
Nice, man. It is a cool and crisp 3:24 in the morning for you right now. So I'm so glad that you're still awake, but how could you not be after that commanding win from FH over Tars in that first round there? Pretty strong match to start with.
It was a great showcase of a couple of really powerful LDs. I mean, we got to see Narsha come in and absolutely devastate Tars there in that first match. And that second match was just a clear showcase of how powerful and how bad people want to own a Veronica.
Yeah, and I totally see why now. That monster is absolutely crazy. Yeah, Tars didn't seem to end up putting up much of a fight in that second round there, but FH really just like took control early with that Veronica, just leading the game there, resetting him on 2 turns. It's very hard to come back from that. Sounds like we might have a highlight reel playing in the side here. You can absolutely just hear the monsters dropping from behind. This is round 1 where we saw FH knock out every single critical piece of Tars' draft.
Yeah, it was just one of those situations where we saw her Nana come through, but not really a way of gaining any more of the orbs here, and it was just FH pummeling the damage and honestly just taking out units one by one. There's not much that Tars could really do about anything in that match. And the second match, I'd give a little bit of credit, you know, with Tars bringing the Gurkha to the table. Gurkha could have done some pretty crazy things here, and Dominic was providing so much damage, but that Miles, with just that additional turn alone, did so much work to that Dominic was going to get knocked out immediately by the Veronica in that following turn.
Yeah, and I couldn't help but notice this time too that I don't know if it was on purpose or what he was trying to do, if he had a game plan, but Tars notably picked the attack lead from Gianna instead of the speed lead from Oliver, which probably would have been a huge misplay. I forgot to check attack bars at the start of the game there, but Veronica just was able to take that turn 1 because he didn't pick the right lead.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if that's not what happened, we could have had Tars taking first turn there, which could have changed turned the tides of the match, of course, with that Gianna on the field as well. Maybe the argument could have been go for the attack lead and have Gurkha sold the entire thing. I don't know, but I don't think that's what would have happened if that was the idea.
Yeah, so anyway, FH is now heading on to the finals, and we still have one more set in the semifinals. We're going to be watching Frank versus L&D Monster. We've seen Frank before in other places, though this is probably his first entry into the Legend Tournament. It looks like we're already going into the pre-ban phase, Sty.
Oh, beautiful. We got that pre-ban phase happening right now. Frank drafting a lot of control, and we've got LD Monster. Well, drafting LD Monsters. Let's see what happens here and see what we bring to the table.
Yeah, let's see what they settle on here. We haven't seen them play yet. Lima and Oliver. Again, Lima, a very specific pre-ban Stoic.
Yep, definitely. LD Monster knows what he's getting into going up against Frank. Not a unit that you want to have to deal with. Lima, extremely powerful, and people who own it were definitely fighting to get that G1 or even higher to get a skin for their Lima here. Oh, looks like these two are going to be fighting over a Gurkha. That's the only explanation for a Gurkha first pick coming out of LD Monster.
Yeah, that was very targeted, that Gurkha first pick. That's something you normally see towards the end. It was actually one of Once and Love's favorite monsters as far as like picks in the draft go. Really changes the way the draft goes. You got to completely change everything that you're doing to counter it. And Masha, inadvertently, is a pretty good answer to all things trying to apply debuffs these days.
Most definitely, Masha able to save herself with keeping up with that immunity because Gurkha doesn't have a way to strip any of that immunity off. So Masha's definitely an excellent pick, bringing lots of damage, lots of power here. But now LD Monster is going to be taking the Nana himself, a little bit of sustain in the form, well, sustain and control with this Yonhong.
Wow, that is a lot of sustain, Stoic, especially considering that Gurkha also can get some HP back when he's attacked. So this is quite a solid team that he's got going on here, L&D Monster. Let's see what Frank has to offer in return. We have a pretty standard setup here, and it looks like he's going to bring Shizuka and Chungpeng to wrap up that third and fourth slot.
Yeah, I'm definitely expecting LD Monster to take something he can combo off with this Yonhong. We can see that Charge Vitality probably come out a little early into one of these units that he's going to be bringing to the table here up against Frank.
Yeah, especially since she has such a high base speed, it's great to be able to facilitate something else that you actually want. It's a secret starter, as it were, so you can have your fourth or fifth pick be actually the one that goes first and just benefit from her super fast speed lead, or rather base speed. Whoa, double Sea Emperor.
This is extremely interesting. So if we ended up seeing a Gurkha banned out here, now there's not a lot of damage threat coming out of LD Monster anymore with this Triton and Pontos. Now, I gotta admit, I'm not the biggest fan of the Triton. If Triton doesn't get his initial strip in the first place, I feel like Triton just kind of feels like one of those wash units.
Yeah, I think I would have preferred to see another threat here instead. Anything else, just because, I mean, there's not a whole lot that you even need to necessarily strip here to begin with, and you got the single target from Yon Hong, and that's all you need. Great ban on the Gurkha coming from Frank. I think that was pretty important. Juno gets banned out on the other side, but it seems maybe like that might have even been unexpected if the Gurkha was getting banned. I don't think he anticipated Gurkha ban.
Yeah, that was quite impressive. I mean, he had to expect to see the Gurkha ban when that Juno got slapped down onto the field, but we'll see what happens as we get into the rest of this match here. Game 1, guys.
Ooh, here comes Yon Hong. Got pushback, but not... I don't think he did get any pushback with the Moor.
Well, I mean, he's got that second skill. Swoop and Wave's going to silence on top of everybody, and that's great value right here. We're going to see where LD Monster's going to start funneling all his damage here, and he's looking for a dismount on top of the Masha.
Notably holds on to that single target strip on the Yon Hong. We're going to see that a little later. Here comes Holy Ground. And I believe there's still a strip on Chung Pung, but it isn't necessarily known to be the most consistent.
Oh, he's silenced up right now, so he's not able to get any skills out. He's going to be silenced for one more turn as well. A little bit of damage getting put into this Yon Hong from this Water Ryu. We'll see what happens with the second skill coming out of the Yon Hong. Decided to go after the defense broken Shizuka. Definitely a good decision. He's able to get his orbs up here, getting stacked up to 2.
Reapplying the silence to keep the Chung Pung under control yet again here. Frank does not have a whole lot of wiggle room. He's just not allowed to use any of his skills.
Not at all. I mean, the double silence coming out of the Sea Emperor has definitely shut me up. I didn't think the Triton was going to be that great, especially with this Masha here. But the Masha getting the big damage on top of the Pontos. But keep in mind that Nana's going to be keeping that unit alive still.
Yeah, like you said, Nana brings him right back into the action, so that Pontos is still relevant. Though, granted, you really see the impact of Nana's reduced HP on Revival. Oh, that proc into the third skill.
Yep, but we have that. I mean, it's not supposed to be that consistent, but it was a pretty good strip coming out of that Water Ryu, able to get, you know, the Yon Hong down here. Charge Vitality is up, and that's not something that Frank wants to see, because that's going to be a very healthy Pontos and Yon Hong again.
What a crazy combo here. The Yon Hong with the Pontos and mix in the Nana here. Yon Hong just kind of makes up for Nana's little bit of weakness as she now revives them with less HP, right? That's a great combo.
Yeah, most definitely. Now I'm starting to see that genius between that Charge Vitality skill and the Yon Hong, and with 2 units that have AoE silencing. So he's going to make sure that he's got no immunity on the other side of the field, and he's able to lock them down with just the silences alone. It's actually kind of brilliant.
Yeah, you're super right. And here goes. So L&D Monster has a pretty commanding lead right now. Frank notably not scooping just yet. Maybe thinking about what he's got in his box to counter this situation, because he might see something similar.
Yeah, we'll see what that second match looks like, but this is 100% LD Monster taking round 1 against Frank.
Though if we know one thing, the next round's probably going to be featuring Lyman and Oliver. They were notably absent because of that pre-ban phase. Great game. Awesome team from L&D Monster. I really like the combo with the Yon Hong and the Nana, actually.
Yeah, it was actually a really, really good team. A well-draft coming out of LD Monster there. I actually really like the 2 silencing units. As much as I was trash-talking that Triton, the silence is extremely powerful when you're able to use Charge Vitality to get another unit up there. So whatever the opportunity is, Yon Hong says, hey, it's your turn. I need that Holy Ground, or hey, I need those silences onto the field. And then Ponto's able to play those silences once again. There's nothing that Frank could do. There's no form of cleanser, no form of immunity to protect himself from both Pontos and that Triton.
And it wasn't just you, Stoic. I thought the same thing. I thought maybe he lacked a little bit of damage, but the silence gives you the wiggle room to just kind of chip away at the enemy anyway. So yeah, great point there. I think that the silence was really the MVP from both of those Sea Emperors. And it sounds like, here we go, guys. We're going into round 2, which is match point for L&D Monster.
Yep, there's that Lima and there's that Oliver. They're going to be available in this round 2. If LD takes this round, guys, we're going to have a really quick Legend tournament going into the final. And boy, does that sound exciting to me.
Yeah, that would be really something here. So let's see if Frank can show us something cool and get a point on the board here. He's got to do it. Otherwise, he goes home, though he likely is home right now because it's an offline tournament. Or an online tournament, rather.
I'm curious what the pre-ban's going to be going up against LD Monster. Is it going to be the Yanhong or is it going to be the Pontos? We'll find out what Frank doesn't want to play up against more. And it looks like he doesn't want to play up against the Tian Lang that he knows is hidden back there.
Interesting choice to not want to play against the Tian Lang. I think maybe that means... I wonder what he's planning on picking. Oh, and there's the Gurkha. Like we said, they're just fighting over that unit.
What we're going to see is who's going to play against this Gurkha a little bit better. So Frank ended up banning out that Gurkha on the side of LD Monster, but let's see what LD Monster's going to do. Is he going to play the Gurkha, or is he also going to be banning this unit out? We'll see what happens in this draft.
Yeah, maybe he's got a counter up his sleeve for it that'll let it stick around, though. It's kind of become one of those monsters that's really difficult to counter with the buff that it got in the last patch.
Well, Gianna Shizuka is going to be coming out for LD Monster. That's going to be a lot of bombs if Shizuka is able to do the dirty things that she can do inside these matches.
If we could see it happen, we haven't seen a Gianna pop off today. I don't even think we've seen a Gianna use skills today, Stoic. We've seen Gianna in-game, but she hasn't done anything yet. Here we go.
Well, I'm expecting LD Monster to probably play this one a little bit better than that previous match with the other Gianna. But we've got a Moor being drafted next to a Masha, which is not a bad unit to see here.
No, and it's about this point where LD Monster actually needs to start drafting something that's going to counter the Gurkha, and there you go. Technically speaking, the Pontos third skill does in fact counter the Gurkha. Also, it combos really well with Shizuka's third skill.
It really does, and LD Monster staying true to his name. A lot of LD Monsters going to be coming out for him. Frank looking to respond to after seeing this Yanhong and Pontos being drafted, and we are going to be seeing a Wunsa and a Changpeng. Now, this is the control side of Frank that we do like to see. So he's got 3 solid control units out there, and then 2 threatening units in the form of that Gurkha and that Masha.
Yeah, I'm wondering what L&D Monster has in mind here. Do you ban out the Gurkha to deny consistent control on a unit, or do you just ban out the damage? I mean, can't help but notice that there's 3 strippers on that team, and there's Masha is probably the biggest source of damage.
Ooh, so that Sekhmet's going to be singling a ban on top of the speed lead. He's going to be banning out that Water Ryu, but who's going to be faster? Is it the Wunsa or is it the Sekhmet? Or does Sekhmet get the ban here?
That would be really nuts if Sekhmet ended up being faster than the Wunsa. That would be something else, but it's one of those monsters you really want turn 1. You put your fastest runes on that girl so that way she can reset the cooldown time of somebody.
Yeah, so both players fighting for turn 1. Looks like the Pontus is going to get the ban out here, leaving that Water Ryu in, and Changpeng is going to get the ban. Frank, looking at turn 1.
You know, Stoic, I gotta say, I had a feeling that one of the defense breakers was going to get banned out, but I kind of expected that it was going to be the Masha instead, actually. But to your credit, I think the 24% speed lead of the Water Ryu was actually ended up being the most important. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. We'll see what kind of value he's going to get out of this more here. Looking for a lot of attack bar pushback, possibly on Despair as well. A little bit of attack bar pushback first, sure. Charge Vitality is available. No attack bar pushback on top of that Yanhong, of course.
Interesting. Decides to give it out to the Shizuka and just bust out a third skill real quick to immunity up so you deny the defense break from the Masha. Safe.
Yeah. Definitely a good decision there. It's funny because a lot of people hold on to that skill to get a little bit more value down the road, but Shizuka's able to pump that second skill into herself and get that cooldowns back up on that third skill as soon as possible. We have a second skill available with our Yanhong as well, but looking for a glancing to get applied to the Gurkha.
And also get some pretty crucial information, more so for those of us at home than necessarily to them. The Gurkha is in fact on revenge, as you would expect.
There's that defense break glancing and heal block. That heal block's going to be extremely important for, to have that on top of the Gurkha, because the Gurkha's not going to be able to heal himself up after all the nonsense that could go on here.
Oh yeah, denying the heal is super important. That defense break, that's big actually. Huge damage coming from the Yanhong. And now Sekhmet is free to reset someone.
Looks like he just wants to confirm the kill on top of that Gurkha. Clearly LD Monster handling the Gurkha a little bit better than Frank had in mind.
Big time. And that was the right call too, Stoic, because now that I think about it, everybody else is on cooldown. Looking around, everybody's used everything, though Masha's going to have the defense break up shortly.
If there's dish turn coming out of Shizuka. Shizuka's going to have the second skill available again. A little bit of attack bar, attack bar gained coming from the Gianna, hitting that Masha here.
He could potentially, right now we're seeing Frank weigh the decision. Do I want to secure the kill on Sekhmet? Do I think it's enough? I think it would. Ooh, I was going to bank on that, and now he's actually got to commit another turn to killing the Sekhmet if he wants to. And he has
Frank,
to.
Oh!
Nice.
Well done, Frank.
Proc.
Frank had an opportunity to take down units. He has to take down those units for sure. That charge vitality could have came out at any time to save that Sekhmet there.
Yeah, still good though. I mean, the proc ended up making them net 0, but having them commit another turn to taking it down was nice. Here goes the Blade Fan. Doesn't get the strip.
Big Blade Fan though. He did get the dismount, and that's I think what he was really looking for, because with that unit dismounted, it's definitely going to be over for Frank here. And LD Monster looking to secure his victory.
Yeah. Oh, you really needed that to kill if you're Frank. You really needed that to just take out the Yon Hong right now, because there's just not enough damage on that side right now to actually make this happen. Bomb goes out on Munsa, and we see a skill 1, and that right there is a wrap for Frank. L&D Monster with a 2-0.
Yeah, well done, L&D Monster. I love that draft, and he did exactly like I said he was going to do. He handled the Gurkha way better than Frank did, and I think that was like the big tone setter there. We had the glancing defense break heal blocking coming out of that segment being applied to the Gurkha, and right there was like, Gurkha is in a ton of trouble. That unit was removed from the field, and the only thing left was to get rid of that Masha, and it was pretty much game over for Frank there. Frank was looking for a little bit of control in that match. He was not able to get anything going up against LD Monster, but well done, LD Monster, bringing the heat this round.
Oh, yeah, and L&D Monster just played around the control element so perfectly. Stoic. I gotta say that opening third skill from Shizuka was actually so well timed, because there were no strips really available after that. So Gurkha was forced to take an awkward turn. Masha was forced to take an awkward turn. Like, they just couldn't get going for Frank's side.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I was kind of expecting to see a Water Ryu more get the ban out there. And he didn't get the ban, but it really didn't matter in that case at all. But it's so interesting to see Shizuka use that third skill, and you only did it, but he got so much value of it. It was 2 turns of immunity at the start of the match to protect his team from what could have been a devastating damage coming from a Gurkha and a Masha.
Oh, yeah. And he's got me loving Yon Hong more than I did even before. And also, I see now just how powerful Gianna is, especially against Masha, now that she's gotten that new buff where she gives herself immunity every turn. She can get a stun whenever her third skill is up, Gianna. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, most definitely. A lot of great plays here. It's going to be very interesting having, FH versus the other Gianna user, in the form of LD Monster. So both players drafted a lot of LDs, and I think the only units that we could tell that they were sharing right now was the Gianna.
Yeah, we're in for a pretty fun finals game, I think. FH versus L&D Monster is going to be fun to watch. These are both some pretty good players here. Oh, it sounds like we got one more break, fam. We'll be right back with the finals.
Show your color. Not so cool, slick, better be too quick for me. Not so flamboyant, but a little too typical. Won't ya? Say the same, don't ya? I'm one of a kind, don't get me wrong. Show your own color. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I just take all the spotlight. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Making mama feel so right. No need to look high and low, baby. Maybe it's a little too obvious. It is my solution. Let's hear you say. Color, leave a mark, show yourself. Hold your chin up, get ready. Got no time to lose because I'm here to show you fluorescent paint, paint. I just stand up, what can I say? Fluorescent paint, paint. Just go parade. My one and only color. He show you, come on. He show you, come on.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to the RTA Season 22 Legend Tournament. I'm still Evan, and this is still Stoic. What's going on, Stoic?
Still alive, still awake, and kicking, and ready for this Game 5 match between LD Monster and FH.
Heck yeah, man. Folks at home, you're joining us back here for the finals, where we're transitioning from a best-of-3 tournament over into a best-of-5. So now these players are going to be fighting to see who can get to 3 wins faster, and we're still in the SWC pre-ban format here. We got FH versus L&D Monster, but we are hot off of a set where L&D Monster just won against Frank. What'd you think of that set, Stoic?
I mean, we saw LD Monster draft a lot of LDs and some really good combination units here. We saw Yan Hong, and this is a unit that I'm a massive fan of. I think Yan Hong's one of the better LD Nat 5s out there because it has that ability to combo up with so many units. You're able to open up things and create combinations. And whoa, we have our highlights right here. We're going to see a little bit of those combinations right now, and that's that Yan Hong able to get the charge vitality, pump it into either that Triton, either the Pontos, and get that holy ground up when you need it, or get the silences where you need them as well. And there was just no forms of immunity on the side of Frank, and just the excellent combinations and the power behind LD Monster's units was just too overwhelming for Frank.
You totally hit the nail on the head earlier, Stoic, when you were talking about making combinations happen with Yan Hong. Some of my favorite units in the game are combo facilitators, people that just make interesting interactions happen. And I think Yan Hong is a perfect example of that. And she's also a hybrid support damage dealer. Look at the damage that she just dealt on that Gurkha. Granted, there was a defense break on him, but that's still quite a bit.
But that's some of those important things. You got to have units that really take advantage of those defense breaks. And I know just like a little skill 1 doesn't do a lot, but a skill 1 applying glancing, but a multi-hit with a second skill, able to boost up attack bar if you're able to strip anything. Like Yan Hong brings so much to the table. There's just so much value there, and you're able to create, like we were talking about before, opportunities for your team, and really opens up a draft and gives a player a lot to worry about when they're going up against a Yan Hong.
Yes, flexibility is absolutely crazy. I love her. And that base speed, Stoic, a 116 base speed. I would love it if her water sister had that base speed, actually. I feel like it'd be very cool. And fam, keep your eyes peeled right here, because before we let you leave tonight, we're going to give you some stuff to walk home with. Again, folks, we've got a very fun finals ahead of us between FH and L&D Monster. Let us know in the chat who you're rooting for, who you think is going to make it all the way to the Hall of Fame, because one of these players is walking away with the title. It'd be really cool if FH could make this happen, because I don't think they could necessarily get it going at the China qualifier. And here's the bracket, fam. Look at this journey that we've been on today. In the semifinals, just saw FH take 2-0 over Tars. We saw L&D Monster 2-0 over Frank. It has been a night of 2-0 sweeps so far, Stoic.
It is, and that's a great tournament right there. We're seeing 2 winners here making their way up here. 2 people that are well-deserved to go into the final here. I don't believe FH has a legendary finish, but I know for a fact that LD Monster does have one of those legendary finishes under his belt. Maybe even multiple.
Yeah, you're right. And that strategy, we saw the strategic play style happen in that last game. Those matches against Frank were really fun to watch, and I can't wait to see what he does against FH. FH played pretty aggressively, and usually sometimes when I have like complaints against people's drafts, I'm usually quick to say like, oh, I don't think that they brought enough damage or something. I feel like FH has kind of mastered the balance between enough support for his team and actually bringing an aggressive comp.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, what we actually saw was FH being very, very aggressive. And then we saw lots of control coming out of LD Monster. Now, LD Monster can go into that aggressive side. I mean, we've seen it from him before as well. So we'll see what happens here as these two get in the match. I think this pre-ban is definitely going to say a lot how this thing's going to get kicked off.
Yeah, we're going to get a look inside of their heads, see how they're feeling. Guys, this is round 1 of the finals. L&D Monster versus FH, the last set of the night. Again, this is a best of 5, so someone's going to have to get 3 wins against the other.
Yep, there is the Gurkha getting pre-banned alongside of the Oliver. Oliver's just been a unit that's been on the pre-ban list for everybody.
Oh yeah, and interesting. Slapping down the Shizuka immediately from FH. And putting a bomb into play after Shizuka is a bold choice. We're going to have to see what the plan is here from L&D Monster.
Well, it's a unit that both these players do share. I mean, there's that Veronica coming back from FH. I think this is going to be the pre-ban for the next match as well. We're going to see it going back and forth between Gurkha and that Veronica. We'll see what happens here, but Gianna's a unit that they do share. Ooh, he is going to be locking in that Nana along with that Yanhong as well for LD Monster.
Oh, heavens to Betsy. This is going to be interesting. I'm kind of smelling a Veronica ban so far, just because, I mean, there's a lot of valuable skills on L&D Monster's side between the Chung Pung and the Yanhong. Those are two units you want to have their skills up, even more so than others, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we could be seeing a Shizuka and a Gianna ban here. And I think FN is looking into that. That's why I was going to be bringing that more. He takes the more back for a Douglas. Interesting.
For a Douglas. What an interesting pivot. There's a lot to say here. I mean, I'm trying to look at this, and I actually think that the Douglas could potentially function here. We just need to know about that Yanhong, though. Being element neutral, having high crit rate, it might actually be able to get around it. We got a bomb from Gianna. What do you think about that pick there, Sty?
I mean, if you locking in that Douglas does say he's going to be letting all those AoE units through, bans are going to be that Yanhong for sure going to get the ban out here. But let's see what LD does, because, I mean, LD may not think the Douglas is going to be that threatening. Bans out the Veronica here, and we're going to have two LDs getting banned out. We'll see as we got to 0 here what both these players chose to ban out.
There are some interesting choices being presented here. There's some solid ban options from either side. The Nana actually might be a solid choice because of the Narsha and the Masha.
Yeah, that really is interesting. I mean, bans out the Nana because he knew he could pummel in the damage there. I think it is the right decision. We'll see if FH can burn through LD Monster, but we've got Yanhong kicking things off for us.
Yeah, FH has decided to play a very aggressive game. This is going to end pretty quickly one way or the other. Already we get a proc from Douglas, so we are seeing the serious matter comes out. Douglas is just getting fed over here, putting damage in. Doesn't seem like a whole lot now, but we know that Douglas builds up over time.
Yeah, most definitely. So there's that Holy Ground coming out. Want to protect his units there. So Masha's going to have a wash of a turn here. Keep in mind that Gianna did not use second skill to place a bomb down onto the field because he is worried about that Shizuka getting those bombs available.
Yeah, and it's pretty clutch having that Narsha under the stun right now, because notably there are no more strips available now that she's dismounted, aside from Shizuka's first skill.
Yeah, man, look at LD Monster. That is great. The despair stun going out of the Shizuka. I think Shizuka is going to be the saving grace unit here for FH, but the bomb sitting on him with the stun as well. Defense break. I think FH is going to be wrapped up here with that Shizuka and being under control.
You don't believe in the Douglas, Stoic? We got to get, dude, the Douglas. We're going to see the Douglas absolutely go off. Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see if that Douglas is able to go off. I mean, I think the Holy Ground is what's going to keep LD Monster alive and away from Douglas doing terrible things to him.
You're so right, man. Oh, nice. Good job, Masha. Nicely done. But that Holy Ground is definitely going to be a thorn in FH's side for the rest of this round. He can only do so much. He's trying to work within the window of that skill cooldown. As soon as it goes up again, he's just going to get his Douglas kind of whittled down a little bit.
Yep, that's right. I mean, here comes the Holy Ground. There's nothing that FH can do about that. That's going to be 2 turns. It's building immunity to keep his team safe here. The unit of focus is still going to be that Yanhong. That Yanhong is able to get this charge vitality up again, and at the same time being just so safe hidden behind that invincibility.
Yes, and again, I was partially joking about the Douglas absolutely going off, but there is a chance here. We've seen every monster in play glance against him so far, so there is actually a chance that he could take this game still.
Some pretty good initial damage coming out of the Chung Pung. He's able to save himself there with having the invincibility up, putting down that AoE to get the attack bar pushback here. Charge Vitality is going to come up, and then that Yanhong is going to look healthy again. Choosing not to use that Charge Vitality yet.
I almost feel like he should have done it on himself there, or rather on the Yanhong, so that way it could get the Blade Fan back a little earlier, because the Blade Fan is the only hope that he's got.
Wow. I don't think he saw that one coming, that he was going to be able to stay alive with 1% HP. There it is, shield and immunity coming up here. And there's that big second skill to finish off that Douglas. LD Monster with a monstrous victory over FH there, man. Yanhong pumping in the power with that big second skill.
Yeah, that was awesome. I actually do like the Douglas draft there, if I'm being honest. I like the hope. And it was great. We saw everybody glance against it, but really, it just elevated what we were already talking about with Yan Hong. She just brings everything, dude. She's got the crit rate built into her. Like, that's crazy. It was great.
I originally liked the Moore. When he was showing that Water Ryu Moore the first time, I thought that was going to be the pick there, because I think he would have really appreciated to have that strip deck or pushback, possible Despair stunts if it's built on Despair, to have those opportunities open. He had a Masha coming in there doing absolutely nothing, and one other unit that just slipped my mind right now that couldn't do anything because all the immunity and invincibility was up on LD Monster's side of the field. So maybe that was a misplay, taking that unit back and busting out the Douglas, because the Douglas wasn't able to get anything rolling for him.
Or maybe even a Pontos ban over the Nana would have been better there, because it's like you can kill those monsters multiple times, but if you just can't get damage in, and your damage is your health with Douglas, right? You can't get anything happen. So hindsight's 20/20, but I personally feel like maybe the Nana would have been better in the game than in the ban.
Of course. There's that Yan Hong getting the ban here, and of course Veronica. And I think it's going to be a Veronica Gurkha going back and forth here. But let's see what happens. LD Monster with the first pick in this second round.
Yeah, let's see. Here comes Oliver, and so that means we're probably going to see the Shizuka as it was, exactly. Showing the priorities. Interesting seeing what these players consider the priority monsters over each other.
Yeah, most definitely. I really hope we don't see a Gurkha here in this second round of draft. I think Gurkha really does belong on that third side, that third draft for either player there. Gurkha should be in a position where you know for a fact they're banning it out and you're guaranteed your 4 units through, or they are not going to be able to handle the Gurkha that well and have to let it through because of something more oppressive that needs to get banned out.
Oh, the Moore and the Chung Pung. Again, another blast from the past here. This is almost looking like season 19, maybe? Season 19, season 20. Not super late, but, you know, a few seasons back. Tableau, Volantis Stoic.
Yeah, Volantis, a unit we haven't seen tonight yet, and that's FH drafting the Volantis. And I do like the Volantis. I think that's going to be a lot of control here. Expecting to... Oh, I'm sorry, there's a Shizuka right now. As I say, expecting to see a Shizuka coming up, but the Shizuka has already been locked in by FH.
Technically a good call. Technically a good... If it's already here. You know, great call, dude. Belongs in the game for sure. Let's see how L&D Monster decides to wrap up the draft. We know that they've got a lot in their toolkit, and they end up going with the Triton and the Cigar.
That's a ton of resets, and I think what we're seeing here is a potential Volantis ban here, because I think Volantis is really going to do a lot of bad things to LD Monster's draft. And again, we're going to be seeing the Douglas coming out of FH. I mean, hey, the Douglas looks really good right now. I'm going to give it to him. I think the Douglas is great.
It looks a lot better here. And you know what? L&D Monster seems to have agreed, and they ban it out. Yeah, it's looking a lot better here than in the last game.
Well, 33 speed lead coming out for LD Monster, looking to get turn 1 here, and also a second round victory against FH. Let's see if that's what's going to be happening here. Moore kicking things off with the full team strip there, but gets stunned up by the...
Volantis making things happen immediately right now. Just doesn't even waste any time whatsoever and already starts counterattacking. You hate to see that cooldown time increase on Shizuka there, but you know what? She's just going to be a couple turns behind.
Yep, that's right. He's going to go ahead and use his third skill with the Tableau. Able to push himself forward here. Bomb's coming out. Bomb does not come out on top of the Oliver. Not at all what FH needed to see right there. But the additional turn's happening here, so he is going to have Bomb up next turn.
That was actually a really nice proc considering they missed. It was very helpful for her there to get her skill back online so she can actually drop a bomb again or try to. Oh, Cigar can actually change the course of this match. Decides to keep Shizuka on cooldown because she definitely is the most impactful monster. Look at all the debuffs she has access to already, Stoic, so early in the game.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of things coming to the table when that Shizuka is able to pop off here. But Volantis is being very, very clutch right now with these first skill stuns actually coming through for all 3 turns that Volantis is able to take here.
That's a really good point. He has landed 100% of the stuns he's thrown out. Volantis has done a great job. Probably most impactful unit on FH's team so far. Notably, L&D Monster's way ahead on HP and now on monsters. I think he is definitely geared up to take this game.
Yeah, definitely. He had to go with that third skill, even though he was going to kill himself with that bomb here. But that's going to be it for the... Oh, choosing not to go for the Volantis just yet. Taking out the Gianna. I was actually expecting to see the Volantis be the first unit to come out here, but it looks like it went for the Gianna instead. Nice little sun coming up from Tablo, but I think this is definitely going to be it here. LD Monster with a commanding victory in the second round against FH.
We've got 2 lead. This is going to be putting L&D Monster at game point, chat. So one more game is all they need in order to lock down their name in the Hall of Fame right next to Season 22. Let's see what FH can do. I feel like FH is like, it's like right there. These are good games, Stoic. I feel like they're kind of right there with their draft. More so on that previous one than on this one. I think that the Douglas was better suited for this draft, and suitably so it soaked up the pre-ban. But I don't think it was necessarily wrong in the first round. It was pretty cool to see.
No.
What do you think so far?
The Douglas was totally fine. It was in a position where it was definitely going to get banned out here. But I think what we need to see is a little bit more aggression coming out of FH. FH was showing that he had the Narsha. You know, he can fight for turn 1. He could be very, very aggressive. I think that's what needs to happen here. We need to start seeing that like Dominic turn 1 play where Dominic comes in and just starts eliminating units as quick as possible. And Narsha's able to do that as well. So I think that's what FH needs to look at right now. FH needs to get the edge on top of LD Monster, take turn 1, and really get in front of him here.
You're right. We need a return of the Dominic Narsha. If we're seeing anything, it's that FH maybe tends to struggle in round 2, like once they kind of lose access to those monsters that just made a statement in the first one. So let's see what happens. We got the pre-ban back on Gurkha. We got no Oliver this game. That's good for both players, actually. I think that Oliver's out of this one. It seemed to kind of confuse them a bit here.
Yeah, we knew the Gurkha was going to get banned, and we knew that Veronica was going to get banned. Both those units going back and forth here. And Oliver, of course, Oliver's going to get banned out here. Shizuka, what a priority unit. Just about everybody tonight was locking in that Shizuka as soon as possible. I mean, just a unit that you have to worry about so much. You know, everything that happens to the field is something that's going to be under Shizuka's control here. So definitely a priority unit that people are locking in. And that's going to be quickly followed up by that Gianna in Changpeng. Oh, very quick to be drafted with FH, locking in the Moore and the Masha. Let's see if he locks those in.
He's thinking about it. I'd kind of prefer the Narsha if I'm picking at the draft. I'd prefer the Narsha in this case, only because it doesn't refuel the immunity for Gianna to stun it later. But I like the Veronica. The Veronica's cool too. I would almost prefer the Dominic in this case.
I think Veronica is an excellent pick here. I do like the Masha. I think Masha's totally fine here, but we do need to see more aggressive picks coming out of FH. I mean, if we ended up seeing the Narsha, Dominic, anything that's going to bring a lot of damage here, he has to make sure that he's able to get that turn one. I think that's what the Veronica is going to be here for.
Yeah, the Veronica's perfect. I love seeing Veronica in a draft. I just miss that blind aggression that he brought. Oh, and it looks like he might give it to me. Let's see. Let's see what he's got. He's got the Dominic. Bring one more. And of course, over on L&D Monsters side, we've seen this draft before tonight with the Yan Hong and the Nana, and we know how powerful it is. No way. Stoic, is that a Verd?
That is a Verd. I can't tell if that's going to be a Swift Verd or if that's going to be a Triple Revenge Verd, because we do have that Changpeng on the field. Whoa, taking a direction I was actually not expecting him to take here with a Molly and Verd heal. He's running out of time, so he's got to lock that in here. FH, I am not the biggest fan, but I mean, we all know what can happen with Molly and Vertiheal. I mean, things could really go in FH's direction here, but it'll depend on what are we looking at with this Vertiheal here. Are we expecting to see a Swift one? Are we expecting to see a Triple Revenge?
I believe, if I had to make a guess, based on the position that it was picked and also the fact that it's next to a Molly, I'd probably say it's a Triple Revenge Verd. Just because it wasn't picked so early. And the Molly is going to give it a little bit of survivability, which is cool. If we get a Veronica ban here, we actually have a pretty solid team from FH.
Yeah, I think the Veronica is going to get the ban here. That can't be a unit that he's going to let through. Bans out the Vertiheal. Wow! Vertiheal's going to get the ban, and the Yan Hong, of course, going to get banned on side of LD Monster.
Wait a minute, Stoic. Yeah, this could be it. FH actually might be able to get a point on the board here before it's too late. If that Veronica takes turn 1, let's see how fast this thing is.
Yep, no speed lead for either team, but an HP lead and attack lead coming out here in this game. Number 3, LD Monster couldn't shut it down, but FH has a great opportunity here. The reset coming through with Sekhmet.
Just raw stats. Like you said, no speed leads, no nothing. This is just what they have to offer in terms of rune quality, and it looks like the Sekhmet comes out ahead. And in a severe twist of irony, Veronica is the one that ends up reset. Wow.
That's crazy here. Beautiful stun coming out with Gianna on top of the Shizuka as well. Ooh, there's that serious matter coming down, getting beautiful resets, looking for some despair stuns, possible defense breaks, only landing on top of the Molly, of course, here.
And there's a defense break, yeah, on the Molly, like you said. She's still got it on. L&D Monster is actually set up to do some pretty crazy stuff here. Big miss on the Shizuka there. But he's going to cycle back to get that bomb in time before Shizuka even has the third skill back anyway.
Cool, Shizuka's looking for an additional turn, not receiving it here, though. Some really good value is on the field still for FH. It's not over for him at all. There's an orb still up for LD Monster, though, and it looks like he's really trying to take out one of those orbs here in the form of Gianna. Gianna is going to drop here. Segment a little bit of poke damage coming out of the Veronica. He needs to confirm this kill, or else, I mean, he's going to be missing a unit.
This is the moment where the game could shift in FH's favor right now, is if he can just capitalize on this before the Veronica goes down and gives Nana another soul shard, and it looks like that's exactly what he's doing, Stoic.
That's exactly what's happening right here. Beautiful second skill going on the Veronica to lower those cooldowns there. And we've got Masha pumping in the damage, looking so good for FH. Finally able to clap back with definitely a more aggressive draft for sure.
Oh, wow, the steal from Sekhmet coming in clutch right now. She's looking like she's going to be the one to respawn instead of Veronica, but that is too strong of an aggression from that comp from FH. Crazy. That was a great game. That was a great game, Stoic.
Yep, well done from FH. Honestly, it's exactly what we were calling out here, that we needed to see more aggression coming out of FH, and that's exactly what he brought to the field. He's brought more aggression. We saw Masha really pumping in the damage here. Molly was able to keep his team alive there, and that was something that I think LD Monster had to worry about for sure, and that Verti heal ended up being, I guess, the perfect pick here. Could have been triple revenge, could have been violent, could have been swift. Doesn't really matter. It got banned out here, but it was an excellent draft, allowing those 4 units to go through, where Veronica really got to shine here, and the Shizuka, of course.
Oh, yeah. The Shizuka was just the turning point of the game, huh? She was kept down. Her cooldown time was increased the whole time. As soon as she got that third skill off, it showed you just why that unit is consistently being first picked when it's available by FH. So here we go. Guys, again, round point for L&D Monster. FH did the seemingly impossible, got a point on the board, and here are our pre-bans. Nothing that we didn't expect, huh, Stoic?
No, not at all. We knew the Veronica or the Gurkha back and forth with these 2 units getting banned out. So Veronica Yanhong, no surprise getting banned out in this round 4.
Yeah, now we get to the meat of it. The Oliver's coming back, and so we've seen FH struggle up against the Oliver in the past. So we'll see what he's got in the tank to see if he can deal with the Oliver, or maybe he might just want to ban it.
Yep, we'll see what happens here. I mean, Oliver's definitely a threatening unit that you'd have to worry about a whole lot. Now, we've seen LD Monster take this Oliver, a bunch of wind units, and just try to go like full control here. So it could happen, but I really do like the Shizuka and the Gianna. I think that's a great way for FH to start his draft off right now.
FH going in a good direction, and it looks like we're getting a twist on an old classic from L&D Monster. So we got the Chungpung, and instead of the Triton or the other monsters that he's bringing in that slot, we're seeing Chiwu, who hasn't made an appearance all night.
Yeah, LD Monster is bringing the Chiwu here because he wants to lock in that 24 speed lead so that he has an extra speed lead, expecting his Oliver to get the ban out here. So probably no Water Ryu coming out, but now I'm expecting to see the Water Ryu, giving him 3 speed leads with these 2 fire units coming out for FH.
This is actually a great response here. The Masha and the Vertihile up against these monsters is brilliant because, I mean, if Oliver resets you or if you get reset by the Chungpung or what have you, the Vert will be able to make up some of that lost cooldown by cycling through turns. And Gurkha doesn't necessarily outright deny the Vert that pleasure, but we'll see.
Yeah, LD Monster needs to look at this draft right now and say, his Gurkha's not going through. What are his 4 units to happen here? He's going to be locking in the Okeanos so that he gets these stuns and resets here. I do now like the Juno draft coming out of FH. I think that's a fine pick here. And that Juno does... Never mind.
The pivot to the Douglas was actually so good, though. Actually, so this is what I was just about to say, is he has found himself in a position where you could feasibly not ban the Oliver. None of these units are now going to be able to potentially deal with that cooldown increase because of the Verd. We're gonna have to see what happens. That's the theory. Let's see how it plays out in practice.
You know, it could have been the Juno, it could have been the Douglas, it didn't matter. Whatever that last pick, it was gonna get banned out here. Let's go. Okeanos not getting the reset here. on top of that Shizuka, and that's going to be really important. But Oliver might be the guy to get the resets here. That's where you should be throwing that third skill, and that's exactly where it's going here. Second skill is going to pummel in to the Gianna potentially. No, it looks like he's going to change focus, and he's going to try and get that dismount on the Masha as soon as possible.
L&D Monster is playing so carefully around that Vertihal right now, and there's the counter when he's stunned. Too little, too late from that Vert on FH's side. L&D Monster has just been playing around it so carefully, Stoic.
Well, that was a Despair Chung Pung, able to land the Despair stun on top of that Masha as well. We get an additional turn coming out of the Gianna, bombs coming out on top of the Oliver, but I'm expecting to see this Gianna go down here. You can go with the AoE pushback here, but as long as the Vertihal is not going to be revenging, it doesn't really matter. You just use the first skill to take the Gianna out in the first place.
Yeah, he's really just being so careful, L&D Monster, taking no risks. And FH is trying to see what he could do to maybe take this game back in his favor, but it requires Shizuka recovering her cooldowns, taking a turn, Masha going, bird cycling. It is a tall order right now, Stoic.
Definitely a tall order for FH here. He needs this bird to pop off as well as this Masha. Masha lands that defense break and does that exactly. He needs to remove these units from the field as quick as possible because he's running out of time.
Masha is trying her best to win this game for FH right now. Let's see if Bird can cycle enough attack power to get it back. Masha obviously benefiting more than the average bear right now. Masha and Bird taking this game back.
Yeah, Masha alone just shutting things down here. Defense breaks are popping out. Masha with the additional turns. You know, those additional turns are massive right now for FH. It's exactly what he's looking for. Able to bring back his Gianna to put bombs onto the field. And I believe that third skill is going to be up here for the Shizuka.
See, so this was the theory. The theory is you cycle enough turns with Bird and hope for a proc at some point. As long as you just keep feeding attack power to the Masha, and eventually those violent runes will kick in, hoping. I think that was actually a really good game plan, to be honest. Like, just cycle through the turns with Bird and see what happens. I liked it. That was the theory. That was the theory in the pick ban phase.
It was a much better play, again, for FH. Like I said, it's that aggression. We get to see a lot of damage. I mean, I'm going to give a lot of credit to those Masha Violent procs. Able to get the defense break, to get those additional turns, but that's why everybody's playing Masha so much right now.
Yeah.
She's able to protect herself with the immunity. She's able to defense break, Violent proc, and you're probably going to be eliminating units after that, and that's exactly what Masha did in this match here.
Yeah, the violent proc was huge, but I gotta give it to him because the thing was he was banking on that from the pick ban phase. Because the Vertihal is going to facilitate that by feeding all that attack bar in. It's like, okay, Masha turn, doesn't proc. I gotta feed it some more. Let's keep going. Let's see when we can get that damage in. It's a good game plan having the Verd there to counteract some of those increased cooldown times that were presented by L&D Monster. So a nice, like you said, very aggressive draft. Kind of a return to form for FH.
Yep, I would say. Now, I do like the control teams coming out of LD Monster. I think that's a route that he should be going in. Can't remember if the Pontos got banned out here, but I really like that Pontos Yanhong. I know the Yanhong got the pre-ban here, but I think the Yanhong Pontos are a really good combination for LD Monster. I'm expecting to see that going into this final match, because this is game number 5, guys, and we have a Yanhong and Veronica available to both players. That's that bread and butter, guys, that we've seen from both these players.
Here we go, everyone. This is it. Both players at match point. We had a 2-0 in the semifinals on both sides of the bracket, and now we are getting the maximum number of games possible from these finals. It's a great best case scenario match for us as viewers. This is going to be a really interesting one. FH has got to pull out all the stops again, bring in the aggression, while L&D Monster really needs to fine-tune that strategy, see if they can control them and keep those cooldown times increased. We see Shizuka get locked down right away, Star.
Exactly. That was very well put here with these two players here. That's exactly what we should be seeing from both of them. We'll see what happens if LD Monster can fine-tune this control here. And Gianna's going to be one of the units alongside the Changpeng.
This is the formula, right? This is what both players have kind of been basing their teams around the whole tournament. Got the Gianna and the Changpeng early from L&D Monster to establish the early control. We got FH with the Veronica to start that chain of aggression. Let's see what happens.
Let's see if that is going to be enough here. I do love that Masha. I think that Masha's been fantastic right now in the hands of FH. Now, does LD Monster change up from this control? Is he going to bring something else here? Is it going to be a Nana once again next to this Yanhong? And it is a Ponto, so I do like this. I like that we're going to be seeing the Yanhong and the Pontos coming out of LD Monster. I think that is the way. Fantastic pivot pick for this last pick coming out of LD Monster here, and I think that's where he needs to be.
So with the Pontos in play, Stark, do you think that that's signaling a Veronica ban? Is that what we're probably seeing here?
I think so. I think Veronica's just way too strong right now, and that's not something that he wants to see. It's something that he was pre-banning this entire time, so I think he's banning it still. I don't think LD Monster's super worried about a Molly and a Juno, but I think the problem here is that whatever LD Monster does 5th pick here, that I think FH is going to be banning out this unit, because this unit I think is going to be an answer to the Juno and the Molly.
Right. I could also, depending on the impact here, oh, Praha. I know some folks in chat are probably
really
going to be
like the
happy about
Praha
that
here.
Praha. Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
I think the Praha is an excellent unit coming out of LD Monster here, because I don't think the Praha says like, oh man, gotta ban that through. So he's going to get potentially his Praha through, and then whatever, it might be the Yonhan getting banned out here.
Or it could also, I could also see the Pontos getting a ban too, because I mean the only strip, assuming the Veronica gets banned, is the Juno. Oh my gosh, Veronica made it through, but I don't think she takes turn 1, does she, Stoic? We haven't seen these monsters.
Not without that
each other.
speed lead. We should be definitely expecting the speed lead on the Gianna. Taking turn 1 for LD Monster. Let's see what happens, because I mean we've seen Gianna totally screw up on the first turn, but we'll see.
It was actually pretty close. Look at that attack bar on Veronica. It is just touching the end there. She could have taken it in another life. That's pretty crazy. So close there. Nice counterattack.
Oh, Despair stun going out onto the Gianna on that counterattack. Really impressive there. We got a big strip coming out from the Juno. Here comes the resets on top of everybody.
Whoa. Wait a minute. So she's still got the 3rd skill off before the Pontos could go, and all of a sudden L&D Monster is going to have to wait and recover those cooldown times. While Veronica very well could be on her way out. That might be her only contribution to the game, so FH better make good use of that.
And he really needs to make some really good use of that. There's the additional turn. Oh, there's a really important sleeper. I think he has to use this to gain control back onto the field, because right now Shizuka's got skills available and a not stunned up Veronica.
Mm-hmm. The fact that Veronica is still standing after that bomb, either stunned or not dead, is actually huge right now for FH, because we've already seen her skill 2 be very impactful. Let's see it happen.
I mean, I think FH has this down pat. That Veronica's going to pump in a ton of damage, and I think that's going to be it. He already used his heal on top of the Praha. All of a sudden, FH looking so comfortable with the anti-sweep. He was able to come back after those 2 losses there, and there you have it. FH is going to be our legendary tournament winner.
FH, the new legend for RTA Season 22, coming back, like you said, Stoic, after 2 losses, found their footing and went 3 games in a row against the champ, L&D Monster. That is crazy. What a story from FH.
Yeah, it was a really, really good play there. I mean, FH played phenomenally. He did exactly what we were hoping for. He came in and he was much more aggressive in the following matches here. You know, a little unlucky, I think, for some moments there for LD Monster, but I wouldn't say that was the case here. I think FH really played his matches and did a much better showing here in this final.
Yeah, I agree, because you can tell, and I admire this skill from someone who's able to do it live in a tournament setting, we saw that point where they kind of reevaluated at the same time we did and saw, I am lacking in aggression. What did I have before that I don't have right now? And FH notably changed their draft right after that second loss and was like, you know what? I need to be more aggressive. I need more damage. Started bringing the Masha more, started bringing facilitators for it, and ended up having a great show. Three against L&D Monster in a row is a tall order from anybody. That is such a hard thing to do.
Yeah, it really is. We saw a lot of LD Monsters here, and I want to give so much credit to that Veronica and say Veronica was one of those big-time, hey, I just won you the match kind of units out there, but I'm giving it to the Masha. I think Masha was that unit that really showcased so much damage in the worth, and it's a unit that most people are going to have in this game, or a unit that a lot of people can work towards, because a lot of people can't work towards a Veronica as much as I'd love to work towards a Veronica. I think Masha is a very, very powerful unit, a great example of why everyone should do their best to get their hands onto a Masha here, because I think Masha was the closer to most of these matches for FH to get his victories.
She really was. As far as MVP monsters go, I think you could make an argument. Obviously, I think Masha's up there. I think Yonhong still deserves a spot there too, because she showed us what she's capable of in making up for weaknesses of monsters, creating interesting combos out of nowhere. Really liked what I saw from her. Who else would you put in the MVP slot there, Stoic? Is Veronica in there for you?
I mean, I think Veronica definitely deserves a spot on there, but I'm going to go again with another unit that a lot of people can get their hands onto and say the Shizuka. Shizuka was being locked down as the first pick for so many of these players here. Shizuka is just such a scary unit with the second skill able to soul protect and bring those cooldowns back for your units. But that third skill, it's just something that you have to worry about. We saw moments like Gianna not wanting to apply a bomb to the field because it didn't want to add bombs to the list of things that the Shizuka could throw down. So it's like, when it's moments like that, because you played a unit that even your opponent doesn't want to use skills because they're just worried about what is that Shizuka going to do to me now.
Oh yeah, and you saw just how much of L&D Monster's draft was dedicated to trying to keep FH's Shizuka locked down. Like, that's a testament to the strength of the monster, is when you bring 3 units to make sure that she doesn't take 1 turn. It is very cool to watch these players interact with each other. We kind of called it right before. We said we're into a really interesting finals game, and I think that's what we got. And I love that we got the full 5 matches in the finals of all places.
It's definitely the place that you want the full 5 matches. It was so great to see a bunch of 2-0 sweeps all prior to leading up to that that final there. But I guess a best of 5 is definitely the way to go when it comes to a Legendary tournament, SWC tournament, like whatever it may be. And we got it. We went into a game 5, and it was a fantastic match between the two of them.
It really built up the power of these two players in those semifinal matches with the 2-0 sweeps into the 5. Like, they seemed like they were a good match for each other. Here we go, guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the highlights from the set that we just saw, the one that ended it all and decided the legend of RTA Season 22, L&D Monster versus FH.
And there's this was a great example of the kind of control that we were seeing out of LD Monster. LD Monster kicked things off, showing like how powerful and how much control that he had with not just that Yan Hong combinations able to put together, but the Pontos as well. We did see the Chung Pung being used alongside that Gianna as well, and those are just like the big I don't want to say the facilitators. The facilitators is definitely the Yan Hong, but the units that kind of start things, allowing the Yan Hong to help get those combinations off, setting the holy ground to protect the team, and the silence to keep his opponent back here. And that's what happened with that first match with LD Monster and FH. And then again, we kind of had not a repeat, but what we saw was a lot of control in the form of resets. And this is what you were talking about before, like, what do you have to do to keep a Shizuka back? Well, draft an Oliver, draft a Cigar, draft a Chung Pong. All the 3 units are going to be resetting to keep back as much as this Shizuka can throw down onto the field here. So it really is. It's crazy to see what you got to do to keep such a powerful unit like Shizuka back.
Yeah, man, and it's such a shame that Douglas didn't work on the first game. Can't help but notice, but as soon as he stopped kind of picking the Douglas, he started winning games. I just feel bad. Oh, the Verd getting banned and foreshadowing he will be back in the next round after this. This is the one where we saw Veronica come in and do some work, I think, towards the end. Oh no, I'm mistaken. This is the one where she actually just got 1 turn in, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. So that was the turning tides there. Shizuka able to get that 3rd skill up, and then that was kind of it right there. Like, there's no more orbs left on the side of LD Monster. Nana can't save you now, and then it's just Shizuka, it's Masha, it's the Veronica, and it was just too much damage, overpowering. That's the aggression that we were looking for out of FH.
We know what's coming next, guys. We know these next 2 wins are going to go to FH, our now new legend for RTA Season 22. This is the game. This is the one. L&D Monster had a lot of control on their side, but FH believed in the Verd that he drafted the game previously and knew that he could feed his team enough attack bar to eventually make up for the increased cooldown time that L&D Monster was throwing out. And eventually, he was rewarded.
Yep, definitely. Oh, man, it was that match right here where the Masha just proving how powerful she is. Those additional turns, pumping out, taking advantage of those defense breaks, and that's why everybody ruins this unit on Violent. You got to see this Masha put out that damage, because that's where you're able to get the additional turns and capitalize off those defense breaks that you just applied. Great wins from FH here.
Really solid. And then here we go. One more game where we saw the Veronica cut in right after the Gianna, so she still got to use that skill 3 and reset the cooldown times. And like we said, that might have been the only thing that she contributed to the game, but it was so powerful.
It really was. Like, getting those resets there was honestly massive. And then again, it's just defense breaks getting applied. It was that skill right there that was the big tide turner. And that was it. That was game over right there. Units started dropping. The power of that Veronica truly shows.
And just like that, A legend was born. Congratulations to FH and frankly to everybody else who made it to this tournament and gave us such a good show. It's always a pleasure watching the top 4 fight for our entertainment. And it was truly a great show, wasn't it, Stoic?
It really was an amazing show and a brand new Legend Tournament winner as well. Like to keep that in mind. So big congrats for FH locking in his very first Legend Tournament finish.
Yeah, absolutely. Gave us a really good exhibition match here. And I was happy to watch that finals game between him and L&D Monster, guys. Here's a look at the bracket. You can see the journey that we just went on over the course of this hour and 30 minutes, folks. We got FH, who had a commanding 2-0. L&D Monster, who did the same in the second half of the bracket. And then they met in the finals for one of my favorite finals games in Legend Tournament recent memory here. And FH is crowned the winner and gets their name in the Hall of Fame, as well as all the other rewards that we talked about earlier in the show, like the Oracle skin, like the Aura, like the Mount. It's great.
At that beautiful little building that I wish I could get my hands onto as well. Claiming that Legend Tournament winner. Like, to have one of those, guys, that's a nice feeling.
It's really nice. I won't know it, but it's really nice. It's really great. And I want to thank everybody in chat, too. Yes. Oh, and guys, don't forget, if you enjoy the Summoners War Esports action, these competitive format for tournaments, we have SWC that's going alongside this too. Stoic and I, you may have heard us reference the China qualification match that we casted just a couple weeks ago, but there's more SWC ahead of us. We had the Europe Cup just a couple weeks back, and now the Americas Cup is coming up in October. That's going to be the next big regional cup for SWC 2022. Before we go, we're going to be seeing some promotion for that as well. It's been great, and you guys do not have to wait if you want to see more action from Summoners War that's on par with what we saw tonight.
That's right. Stay tuned, everybody.
Oh, and don't forget, guys, going back into Summoners War, after RTA, don't forget to look in the events page. We got tons of events going on right now because of the Cookie Run Kingdom collab. We got 3 of them happening right now where you can get Gingerbread for free. We got the second one where you can get a suspicious number of scrolls. And of course, those drops that make it so that you can choose what rune set you get in dungeons for an hour. SWC 2022 America's Cup is coming to New York, and you can see it on October 8th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. It's going to be a good time. I can't wait. I'm going to be there in person.
I'm going to be there in person.
That's crazy. I'm going to see you there, dude.
I'm going to see you there. It's going to be crazy.
It's awesome. Can't wait to see you cast it. It has been awesome, guys. And like I said, folks, we're not going to be letting you leave empty-handed. We will have a code for you coming up in the lower thirds of the screen here in just 1 second. As if hanging out and enjoying these awesome games wasn't enough, we really appreciate you guys being here live and watching the matches with us because they were very fun. There it is, new season 23 GG, and that's going to get you some mystical scrolls. Wow, 3 of them. Good luck, guys. I hope you get something good from them.
Me too. I hope I get something good from those as well.
Yeah, I'm about to hop on Twitch chat right after this and just redeem them. If you are on iOS, you can find the link to those posted by our lovely mods in chat. All you got to do is tap on that link on the phone that you play Summoners War with, and it'll open up and give you the rewards in your inbox, guys. So enjoy those, again, as a thank you for hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah, appreciate everybody coming out here. It's been a fun one. It's been a wild one. I look forward to the next Legendary Tournament already, but I also look forward to getting in bed and going to sleep.
Yes, sir. At a crisp 4:30 in the morning, who would blame you, Stoic? They've been good games. It's been worth it, though. It's been worth it, and it's always a blast commentating with you, man. I had so much fun.
Yep, these are always a good time.
Yes. All right, guys, again, so grab those codes while you can. Our lovely mods have the codes for iOS and Android. Again, click that link, tap it with whatever phone you're on, and you'll get it. Thank you guys so much for watching RTA Season 22's Legend Tournament. Have a great night and a great weekend, and we'll see you for SWC America's Cup. Bye, everyone.